And again, this is an excerpt of Loose Change Final Cut where you will hear dozens of people talking about secondary explosions at the World Trade Center that had nothing to do with the planes impacting them. We got that one ready, guys? All right, let's hit the clip.
Loose Change Second Edition contains unlicensed
No. What are we doing here? That's not the right clip. It is the final YouTube thing I gave you right here. It says 15 seconds in, secondary explosions. It should be a clip, one of the pieces of Loose Change Final Cut, just a small clip of it. And well, while they're finding that, I'm just going to continue with this because, again, I watched the entire thing. They don't want to discuss anything outside of their small, controlled paradigm. Again, we have tons of eyewitnesses to secondary explosions, but they don't want to show you that video. They'd be more comfortable showing you a piece of paper that someone's narrating over. All right, now we're going to show it to you. Let's hit it.
Just steel from well away from the towers, tens of meters away from the towers. That's hard to see a reason for that within a gravity-driven collapse.
5 firefighters and eyewitnesses reported a series of explosions before and during the collapses.
And we heard the noise associated with an implosion. Secondary explosion on Tower 2. Some sort of explosive device.
We're obviously having a bit of trouble right now maintaining our location because we just heard one more explosion.
There was another major explosion.
Do you know anything about those extra explosions we heard?
No, I do not.
Were they car bombs?
I have no idea, ma'am.
This thing shook, and I heard like an explosion.
Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse? To me, it sounded like an explosion. We heard a very loud blast, an explosion. They were taking photographs and securing this area just prior to that huge explosion that we all heard and felt. Not clear now is why this explosion took place when there was some sort of collapse or explosion.
From street level, as though it had exploded up, a giant rolling ball of flame, and the firefighters screamed, "Run!"
It was this blast of warm air. It wasn't hot. It was warm. And it picked me up and threw me up against the wall of the building.
You were picked up off the ground.
Physically picked up off the ground.
I remember an explosion. At that point, I got knocked out. I don't remember anything. Then I got up, and I looked out the window because the windows exploded, and the street below caved in. And at that point, there was like fireballs coming up.
An hour later than that, we had that big explosion from much, much lower. I don't know what on earth caused that.
About 15 minutes after they made their entry, we heard a boom. I don't know if that was the infrastructure that was going or another explosion.
Again, there has been a second explosion.
John, just seconds ago there was a huge explosion, and it appears right now the second World Trade Tower has just collapsed.
All of a sudden I heard rumbling, and we all started running away from it. The glass blew out and threw me onto the sidewalk, and I couldn't see for 20 seconds.
It was like holy hell coming down them stairs. And then when we finally got to the bottom, we were coming out on a mezzanine level there. And another explosion came right from it because everyone flying.
We stuck on the stairs for a while. We finally got down to the lobby. Then we get to the lobby, it was this big explosion.
So I was real lucky. I don't know what happened to the people behind me when that blast occurred.
And was actually on the 78th floor of the second tower and was evacuating the tower and experienced all these explosions and made his way back down.
We presume because of the initial explosion, there may have been secondary explosions as well that were detonated in the building by these terrorists.
There was a secondary explosion, probably a device either planted before or on the aircraft that did not explode until an hour later.
I heard a second explosion and another rumble and more smoke and more dust. I ran inside the buildings, the chandelier shook, and again, black smoke filled the air. Within another 5 minutes, we were covered again with more silt and more dust. And then a fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a third explosion, this building might not last.
Eyewitnesses also reported that explosions had taken place.
Hold on, we're gonna play even more of this on the other side. Let's hold it right there, guys, because we're gonna talk about some of the basement level explosions. I mean, was that not enough? Those dozens of people talking about secondary explosions as they left the building in the lobby level? But they don't want to talk about that on Nat Geo. They don't want to interview Willie Rodriguez. They don't want to talk to his supervisor, Anthony Santalamesia, two whistleblowers that, again, confirm that the basement blew up before the first plane hit the World Trade Center. Okay? That the explosions they witnessed were not jet fuel riding down the elevator shafts. Think about that. These guys are in the basement level. Okay? They get blown upwards from below them. They get blown towards the ceiling. And then, in the actual lobby of the World Trade Center, all of that thick glass and marble panels are blown off the wall, and they're all blamed on this rolling fireball. But that same rolling fireball didn't burn anything. There's no scuff marks, no yellow along the walls. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, we're going to show you some more of these secondary explosive clips from Loose Change Final Cut. You can get it at Infowars.com. Right now, we're going to keep going through this Nat Geo hit piece. You know, on the other side, after we show you some more of these secondary explosions, we're going to talk about conventional thermite. We're going to talk about what they try to blame as molten aluminum. We'll show you what molten aluminum looks like. Okay, Stephen Jones has done the experiments. The substance pouring out of the World Trade Center, falling down 60-plus floors, looking like a foundry. That molten metal is not aluminum, folks. And the debunkers know this. They know it. Because they tried to come up with some other cockamamie excuse last year, over a year ago. They tried to say it was batteries being stored in the World Trade Center. Because they know they can never do an experiment where molten aluminum looks like that. But they just flatly state it's molten aluminum, no need for an experiment. It's molten aluminum from the plane. These truthers are crazy. After all, we can't really have molten metal on the scene. That's not the official version of events. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Hope you're tuning in live via prisonplanet.tv.